All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call a special meeting of council to order Tuesday, April 5th, 2022. Approval of the agenda, please. Councillor Howell?
See if we can add a closed section to the meeting tonight.
Okay, in regards to,
Staffing.
so item C. Okay, seconder. Councillor Kirkowka, discussion. Councillor Nobre?
That's the end of the meeting? Correct?
Yes, correct. Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Approval of the amended agenda, please. Councillor Lehman?
The Tuesday, April 5th, 2022 special budget council meeting agenda be adopted as amended.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Kirby? Just all in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Delegations and petitions, 3.1. Councillor Nobre?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I need to step out as I have a pecuniary interest in the library.
Thank you. Great, we have Paula Coutts, Zach Schoenberger, and Darra Hofman to review actuals and respond to questions regarding library funding. Welcome.
Thank you.
Councillor Howell.
Yeah, I just want to point out that we didn't receive the agenda tonight until about 50 minutes ago. So we were not aware that the library was coming in, so I'm not prepared for my questions for the library. So it would be, if you can give us the financials and stuff that you have, that would be fantastic. But it may require email questions or something.
Sure, anytime.
Floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. For those of you whom, thank you. For those of you whom I've not had the pleasure to meet, my name is Dr. Darra Hofman. I am a member of the Public Library Board, and I wanted to be here first in the spirit of transparency, so that as you make your budget deliberations, you have all of the information you might require. And secondly, to share my professional, not just personal opinion, as a doctorate holder and educator in library science about the quality of services that the community receives from our library. And so we have, as requested by Mayor Bertrand, and I thank him very much for his very useful input, we have prepared statements of the actuals versus the operating budgets, looking at what the library had planned to spend versus what it actually spent for the last year, for which numbers are available. And I think perhaps the most important point is that we stayed well within our budget. We initially budgeted approximately $400,000 and spent approximately $390. Yes, sir. Sorry.
Do you have copies that we can have?
Yes, Counselor.
Okay, sorry. I just wasn't.
Oh, of course.
It's not before I interrupted you.
Apologies. You would think someone who speaks publicly for a living would be better at this, but
No problem at all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
give him one.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, go ahead.
Thank you. And so a couple of points that I wanted to raise, of course, is, that this has been a very abnormal budget time for us as well as everyone due to the pandemic. And that, as you'll see, that once the library received its budget from the district, $340,000, that spending was slashed, and through very aggressive fundraising, as you can see it looking at the revenue line, we ended up being able to come close to what we had budgeted. However, the allocation, you can see that we had almost $30,000 more expected in terms of spending on our capital expenses, because that's where grant funding is available. And while that's wonderful in terms of being able to enrich the materials that we have available to offer to the community, making sure that the communities making sure that the materials are actually accessible, meet the community's needs, serve all of the sort of information access needs that we talk about in the library science profession requires the ongoing efforts of trained professionals, such as our head librarian, Paula Coutts, who in my professional estimation has done an excellent job. And without sustainable funding, the library will again be forced to cut the salary line, which means that the professional services, for example, programming is one of the major deliverables of the library. And if you look into the province's numbers, those are publicly available from the Ministry of Sports, Recreation, Arts, and Culture. I always get their big long name wrong. But if you look at the ministry statistics, our library delivers programming at such a level that approximately 5 to 6 programs are attended per resident. If you look at the number of residents that we have in Tumbler Ridge versus the number of programming attendances that we saw over the year, even in this year of constrained COVID craziness, right? And delivering those programming, ensuring the materials are cared for correctly, because there's actually a whole science to making sure that the materials are cared for correctly, preserved, cataloged, weeded, and so forth. If the library does not receive adequate funding to ensure that there is ongoing professional staff support, then what you're going to see is that all of that grant-raising effort will be wasted, because the materials will either fall into disrepair, there won't be enough time and energy to make sure that all of the forms of access are provided. And the programming will have to be cut, because programming, which again is one of the primary selling points of the library, requires staff time, staff work, put simply. So, and finally, I just wanted to raise the point that it's easy to overlook the financial value of what the library contributes. So in the presentation, the report that was prepared for council, there's a one line that says we provide social services, or social support actually. Among the supports that the library has provided over the past year, for example, was helping 126 applicants for CERB, IA, and EI support in this community. If we take a conservative, the basic CERB number of $2,000 and assume each of those people only got one support, that's $200,000 that the library's professionals have helped to bring into this community. And that's money that gets spent at our grocery store, spent at our hardware store, and flows directly back into the community of Tumbler Ridge. So I thank you very much for your time. I'm more than happy as a member of the board to answer any questions you might have. I just wanted to make sure the council had a full perspective from, my view as a library professional, as well as a member of the community of Tumbler Ridge.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Darra, and welcome to the board as well. Pleasure to have you on board, and with all your experience, it's very much appreciated. Just going over the document here, I just wanted to highlight a couple things.
Yes.
So the actuals we have for 2021, is that correct?
Yes, sir. They're on the.
And then the previous columns here are the budgeted amounts, is that?
Yes, sir.
So we're showing a $70,000 decrease in salaries and wages
Yes.
last year?
So when the library got the amount from the district, everything was slashed as much as it could be to sustain operation, and that's why you see that we were able to bring the capital expenses number back up, because we got significant funding from the Provincial Library Board, Pattern Energy, and other donors. But those donations and grants typically have stipulations that they can only be spent on materials, and often for particular kinds of materials, such as the STEM, science, technology, that kind of education program from Canada Post.
In addition, when the budget was prepared in late 2020, we anticipated reopening to almost normal hours for COVID. And in fact, the library did not open fully because of restrictions. We weren't open on Mondays until September. So that's why there wasn't this expenditure for salaries. We certainly are back up to speed now, and we'll need the full amount this year. In addition to that, we also have the new minimum wage, and we also have the new requirement to offer all staff, including part-timers, 5 paid sick days, which is potentially 60 paid days through the year that we would have to hire other staff to replace.
Right. Okay, thank you. Councillor Kirby?
Thank you, Mayor Burkett. Paula, how many staff were lost or hours cut in 2021?
Specific hours,
Or staff?
I couldn't say
Layoffs.
offhand, we didn't lay off in 2021. We reduced hours in that we weren't open as many days, but remember that our staff work shift work, so they're working, like the kids who work sometimes only work 3 hours a week. Or one of the clerks might work 2 4-hour shifts in a week. So that would make the 12 people. There are 3 full-time and then the rest are all part-time.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Council? Excuse me. Councillor Hall?
Just a quick one here on the actuals from, again, having a quick glance at this and not having any time to really review it. Employers' contributions for 2021, you have nearly $70,000 on $200,000 in wages. That's nearly a 50% increase from something like a similar year as 2014. I know there was some changes to what the government was looking for employer contributions, but what makes up the majority of that increase?
The second number is always an estimate based on whatever the first is. I've always been told to take 15 or 20%, use that roughly, with the combined total being your salaries and benefits cost. EI, CPP both went up last year, and the benefits package went up because, of course, when people use benefits, they go up. So if people go to the dentist, which people did after the year of COVID when those kinds of services weren't available, then of course the premiums go up. When you use the benefit services, they go up.
What benefit service are you guys using, do you know?
We use a company called Benefits by Design, which is a company in Vancouver. We had a broker several years ago who did whose name we got from one of the other nonprofits in town. And they did a survey of, I think, 8 different companies. And we ended up between this company and Great West Life, I think it was. And this particular company deals with small, tiny groups. Most don't like to deal with anyone who's got fewer than 5 employees. And this company deals with 1 or 2 employees.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, Councillor?
And just for a reminder, what's the total ask from the DTR for 2021?
377,093.
Say that again, 377?
377,093. It should be higher, but we stayed conservative. And that was before we knew about the new minimum wage at all. And before we knew about the impact of the Canada Summer Jobs grant reduction, which is huge. That's going to hit us hard for the Summer Reading Club.
Okay, Councillor?
So then in 2021, when you were able to shut down for a short period for COVID, and you were able to save some money during that time.
We did not shut down for very long. Full-time staff were there throughout COVID.
Yeah.
We were delivering homebound services and maintaining the library that we had. We didn't save a lot of money in 2020.
Okay, or 21.
In 21, no. We offered pretty well regular services, just fewer days open.
Would it also be fair, Paula, to further respond to what I'm taking as Councillor Howe's question? And I apologize if I'm misconstruing your question. Please feel free to tell me. But would it be fair to say that a lot of the essential work for the long-term quality of the library did have to be cut and deferred because of the hours not being spent?
The special projects, special projects.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, Council? Okay. Thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for the information.
Thank you.
Gotcha. but if it's an estimate, then that's all it is. Okay, on to new business, 4.1. Presentation of the 2020, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. Thank you. Thank you. 4.1, presentation of 2022 operational budget. Ms. Thompson, did you want to introduce us to this at all, or?
Yeah, I can just remember trying to give a introduction to the budget, so
Councillor Howell?
Yeah, can I put a motion to defer on the table, please? Our CFO is not present. I've had 10 questions sent to staff that I haven't had answers to. I don't think that we're ready to do the budget, so unfortunately, I'd like to put a motion to defer.
Okay, seconder? Councillor Kirby, discussion? I wouldn't mind hearing the overview before we defer, but yeah, any questions, concerns?
Okay.
Councillor Howell?
Like our CFO is not here, right? Like this is her baby. Right? This is, and I understand it goes through our CAO, but there's a lot of questions that I've asked that are not, obviously they're not ready to answer, so I'm not ready to put my time into it either. If we're not ready, we're not ready. And if, I don't know what the reasoning is behind it, but you know, I think shortly we'll find out. But to me, unfortunately, I think we need to defer. I don't see how we can move forward, so.
Okay. Any other comments? Councillor Nobre?
Member Bertrand, is the staff present here today able to answer questions we might have on behalf of the budget, or are all the questions, and I don't know the questions, I apologize, Councillor Howell.
Yep.
But I mean, is our CAO able to answer some questions on behalf of the budget?
Ms. Thompson?
thank you, Mayor Bertrand through council. I am prepared to answer general questions on the budget. However, Ms. Tegarty and Mr. Simcock and other staff are able to answer questions on their individual budgets better than what I have, because I have the high-end or overview of everything. I may not be able to answer it as much in as much detail as required.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions? Call the question, all in favor? Opposed? Was that in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, deferred. And question and answer period. Ms. Thompson, did we have anything?
I have none.
Thank you. And I'd like to move, motion it to go into closed under Community Charter Section 91C, Labor Relations or Other Employee Relations. Seconder, Councillor Kirby, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. 10-minute recess, please.